Yo, fresh in the building. What's good, people? Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are, of course, live in the building tonight. We are talking all things related to, of course, none other than the iPhone 15 series, the iPhone 15 Plus, and the iPhone 15. 4 days later, 96 hours later, we are going to be talking about our experience with the normal numbered series phones from Apple this year for the 15 series. And yo, we're going to be talking about these two and sharing my thoughts and experience of it so far. It's been very interesting with these iPhones, and some things are going to shock you in terms of my take, and some things are not, just especially me being predominantly an Android user. But without wasting much time, man, appreciate you all. Welcome to your Monday Night Tech and Chill Show Unplugged Special Edition live stream. I'm your host, Ben from the Lover of Tech channel, and we are, of course, live. We are doing a 96 hours later, 4 days later, review on the iPhone 15 Plus and the iPhone 15. So make sure you stick back, relax, get your popcorn, get your drink, get your meal. We're about to get into this one, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you haven't been here before, this is pretty much this is our version of the Snyder Cut when it comes to reviewing a phone. Again, our reviews when it comes to a pre-recorded video are pretty long anyway, between 10 to 15 minutes. But these ones, we can be sitting here for a good 2 hours. So buckle up, Dorothy. Kansas City's about to go bye-bye. What's good, people? I'm hyped for this one. And if you're here for the first time, we do this nice and crispy all the way through. We are streaming in 4K UHD. So if you've got the bandwidth and you've got the capacity and the device, make sure you select higher than 480p, which is standard definition at SD. Go up to 720p, which is HD high definition. Then up to 1080p, which is full high definition. Then up to 1440p, which is quad high definition, all the way up to the maximum 2160p, 4K UHD, ultra high definition in 4K for the crispiest live stream on Tech YouTube right now. I'm seeing some people fired up in there, so definitely, man. Let's check the comments and see what we have here. Make sure you share this out to people and let people know that we are, of course, live, and we're going to throw down and get dirty with the iPhone 15 Plus and the iPhone 15. Before we even do that, I personally want to say a big thank you to Vodafone UK for supplying both the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus for testing and reviews. They had it here with us since Friday, and we've been putting them to work, as you've been seeing. If you don't follow us on Instagram and behind the scenes, definitely. I'm gonna show you some of the deals that you can get on Vodafone UK on the iPhone 15. Vodafone UK are actually the longest and the oldest network in the UK to have not gone through some form of a merger or anything like that. They've kind of just been Vodafone from the day one that I've known them to be compared to the other networks. So really appreciate the PR team to get these out. We purchased, obviously, the iPhone 15 ourselves. This is off our own back, but these have come from Vodafone UK. So really thankful to them. Saves me having to buy it, but still allows me to get the content out for you to make the right purchasing decision for your next phone. And if it is the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus and you're in the UK, consider going to Vodafone UK. All right, people. All right, people. Let's get into it. Let's jump into the comments, and then we'll have a breakdown synopsis of how the stream is going to be. And Q jump, T got the Q jump. Yes. T flexing it. T, you missed the last stream. You did miss the last stream, but I did showcase. Your baby did come. What's better than one T? Man's got two T's. Two titties. Ah, pause. 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 Chill. Chill. Shout out to the bro for the Aspen Technically Red limited edition. This is, of course, for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but the 15 Pro Max isn't going to be here until Wednesday, so apologies, bro. Maybe I should have requested for the 15, what do you call it? The 15 Pro Max, but yeah, you see, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Oh yeah, because it's slightly smaller. Anyway, bro, really appreciate it, man. Shout out to you for getting this out. Really proud of you and what you're doing there with the guys over at Andar, having your special edition Technically Red. Don't worry, I'm gonna show it proper love when the 15 Pro Max gets here, man. But appreciate the love, and as always, appreciate the support, man. You're the homie right there. And of course, dropping this in with the super chat means the world, man, as per usual. We're going live, and you're kicking it off with a $20 super chat. Man, Apple like to be stingy, innit? Shout out to you though, regardless, bro. I appreciate all the consistent support, man. You're half of the reason why I'm always consistent with the live streams, because I don't want to deal with your headache, bruv. You're always getting onto me. So before you get onto me, you see me, I've been regular with it. I've been regular with it, consistent. You ain't even had to bug me. Like, we've been on game. And obviously Pixel 8 series is going to be announced on a Wednesday. So you know how it is, man. Back to back to back. We're going to be on that still. We're going to be on that still. I'm going to be on that still. But yeah, man, letting it marinate and sit there. Appreciate the super chat, bro. Much love, man. You're a real one. Fresh in the building. What's good, bro? Yo, T in the house. Jake, what's up, what's up, what's up? Curtis Witherspoon says, bro, I love your videos, but just say 4 days. That's what makes it fun. No, but you see, the whole 96-day later thing is a troll. I'm trolling. If it makes you laugh and it makes you click, it's working. It's the same thing, but I'm spinning it. Next time I'm gonna convert it to minutes. Watch, I'm gonna troll you lot. Tectonic, what's good? Yes, we are. Hi, yes. Guess who's back again, bro? You don't know how excited I get when I see you go live. Make me fall asleep in a good way, no homo. No homo! I appreciate you, A. Appreciate you being here, man. Indeed, it's the crispiest live stream on their Apple conference. Has nothing on this. Appreciate you, man. That's props. Jeff Hell in the house. What's good, people? Yes, now then. Wait till you work my magic for the month. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Hey, yo, pause. Don't let Trenton find out, bro. That's a heavy pause. Tell T Racing, I got him yesterday. Updated version coming soon with the action button. Of course, bro. I'm gonna look forward to that still. It's definitely working. Exactly, man. Young Matty Cubs, he's not here this week more because of logistic reasons. But Matt, make sure this stream gets edited for the cut down so that the replay crew get to have a nice condensed version of this review as well. And also last week's one as well. So I'm expecting the cut downs to be done and also YouTube shorts out of it, man. So you're still working remotely. But shout out to the younger Matty Cobbs in the house, man. Appreciate you being here. And we've got 17 concurrent viewers at the minute, man. We like it. We love to see it. Which is great. And we've got Biggs in the house. Yes, sir. So we got everything counted in. Please do give feedback to make sure that the stream is looking nice and crispy. No drop frames, no buffering. And also, most importantly, the audio. Please let me know that the audio isn't spiking out of nowhere, and make sure that it's nicely balanced, because I want to make sure that, you know, you all that are live here and also the ones that stumble upon here, yes, this may look like a pre-recorded video. Please, it is a live stream. It's just in a very high quality format, so it feels easily digestible like how a pre-recorded video would be. So be patient. I will have chapters in the description so that you can get to the sections that you want. But of course, we're going to break it down and start with what we start and do with what we do, and pretty much talk all things related to the iPhone 15 series. So the general consensus of this review and breakdown is really going to be all about, first, the design and the build quality experience. We're always going to start from the outside and work our way in. Pretty much the same playbook routine. Then we're going to talk about the display experience, right? How has it been using these phones when it comes to the front and center attention of how you interact with the phones, which is, of course, the display. Then we're going to be talking about the performance. Oh, God, airdrop. Nope. Then we're going to be talking about performance, right? And what our experience has been And we're going to be doing some live gaming, of course, as we do with Asphalt. You know how it is. So we're going to be doing that. Then we're going to be talking about the camera experience, man. How has the camera experience been? And boy, you've seen it today, man. It's gone live back to back of some of the most in-depth camera comparisons you're going to see on YouTube on any smartphone. And I bet my channel on that. I bet my channel on that. Find me someone that does it as in-depth as I do, to the extent as I do, especially for someone of my skin shade. Yeah. So we're going to go in depth about the camera experience and talk some things about there and how some of the experience is actually better than a Pro. Unpopular opinion, but true. We'll skim over software a little bit because, again, it is still iOS. So what's really different in that retrospect, right? And then we're pretty much going to be talking about the battery life experience and charging and all the other quality of life features that they've done to this that kind of have surprised me in some retrospects. So if you've got any suggestions, make sure you drop them in the comments. But without wasting time, let's get into it. So yes, of course, we do have both iPhone 15 series. We do have a guest appearance here with the iPhone 15 Pro in the white titanium. iPhone 15 Pro Max is going to be coming on Wednesday, hopefully, fingers crossed. Again, courtesy over the folks at Vodafone UK, which I really, really appreciate. But in the meantime, this is the ones that we're rocking with. And I'm going to automatically start with a hot take that's going to surprise everyone in the stream. And it's going to surprise even me still. These iPhone 15 series devices are the nicest physical phones I've ever held, or if not ever held in a long time. I want to repeat this so it really sinks in. These are not the nicest feeling iPhones I've ever held. They went from initially being the nicest iPhones I've ever held to feeling like the nicest phones I've ever held, period. Period. In fact, let me put the plus on its own for a moment and say this. The Pro is where it's at, of course, right? Titanium subframe with infused aluminium, action button, triple camera, amongst other things that we're going to discuss and talk about. But, in terms of the actual physical feel, this feels just a bit better than this. To the point where this is the final form of how good an all aluminium or aluminum body can feel. These phones feel absolutely gorgeous. This matte finish at the back, wow. Apple, you knocked it out of the park. You knocked it out of the park. This is honestly the nicest physical, solid state, non-foldable phones I've physically felt ever. The matte finish is a dream. The brushed aluminium frame is a dream. The slightly curved contour is a dream. No more sharp. This, honestly, best phones I've ever held. And I'm you can call me Cap, but not America. I'm so thoroughly impressed by these phones when it comes to handling and build quality. That as an Android fanboy, it makes me almost sick to my stomach that I have to admit, Apple have literally done the biggest justice and upgrade out of all of the four models to the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus when it comes to the design. On a technical level, the pros are more impressive. The fact that they've been brave enough to introduce aluminium, which is a next generation material to be used in a smartphone, to the extent that they did. Yes, it's not all aluminium because it is infused with aluminium, all titanium, sorry. So it is infused with aluminium with a very unique bonding methodology that they've used on it. But my goodness, as brands or as a phone manufacturer that has been literally hammering away and using aluminium, this is the best feeling all metal aluminium phone I've ever held and used. Not for an iPhone, solid state smartphone, period. I've never held and handled phones that felt as good and well put together and as nice as this. And I don't mince my words. I don't take it back. Call me a Samsung fanboy. Call me a Samsung knight. Call me an Android fanboy. I take all of that. But sometimes, surprises come along and praise has to be given. And praise has to be given to the point where the fact I'm actually saying it supersedes the 15 Pro when this on a technical level, because it's using titanium, grade 5 titanium, yeah, says a lot. And I also want to do another hot take. For every single one of you that's complaining, oh, the colors are not as good as the iPhone XR. The colors are... No one cares your opinion. I love the fact that they've gone for more muted, pastel feeling look to the colors. It sets it apart. Take the mick all you want when it comes to, oh, it's only like different shades of white. Who cares? These are, I just love how subtly done they are. Honestly, this Apple, T, you're my case guy. I can't bring myself to put a case on these phones. They feel so good. They feel so good. They feel so good. It would be utterly criminal to put cases on these phones. Yes, still protect your investment. But I've never, ever outright held a phone that felt completely good without a case, where putting a case on it feels criminal. Putting a case on these phones with how they've done it, with the finishes, how it feels, and the comfort, I can't do it. It's just too good. Standard procedures in what we're calling in terms of the design and the build quality. Yes, we've now, better late to the party than ever, switched over to USB-C, USB Type-C, right? USB Type-C. Yes, this is 2.0. Yes, 2015 is calling you to get their feature back because we have been experiencing this on Android since the Nexus 5X and also the OnePlus 2, as well as obviously with the ill-fated Note 7 from 2016 and beyond, as well as the Google Pixel 1. But it's good to see it. I'm glad it's made a change, but it's nothing to sing home about. Apple, you took your time. And thanks to the European Union, you had to do your work, or else it was just going to be majorly problematic for you. Of course, we've got the side button, as we traditionally know, right? And of course, we've got the two individual volume buttons, which I really like when Apple does that, which is adjacent and symmetrical. And of course, the traditional mute toggle switch. And I hope they keep this design, refine it a little bit. Yes, maybe try and make it a bit darker and more saturated, let's just say, and bring the action button. Because man, once you go action button, can't go back. This is the most un-Apple-like addition that has been so clutch and enjoyable to use. But again, we move. We've got the microphone bottom firing on here, and you've got the bottom firing speaker. Then, of course, we've got at the top firing speaker as well. And here we have it with the dynamic pill or virtual touch bar or dynamic island. Let me just turn off auto brightness. So we've got the ability to just maintain screen exposure. Here we are. And we've got the dynamic island there. 6.7 inches, as well as 6.1 inches. iPhone 15 Plus, iPhone 15. Both start at 128 gigabytes. And when it comes to the build and the design, honestly, 10 out of flipping 10. I don't take my words back. And sometimes, as an Android fanboy, as predominantly an Android user, I really just have to eat my words. The build quality, the feel, the fit, everything that they've done to this when it comes to design and build quality, superior beyond reproach, beyond belief, and I'm still eating my words for it. Where at this point, I sound like an Apple shill and I sound like an Apple simp. And it's sad that I'm actually making myself sound that way. But I have to be very honest. I'm taken away by the 15 Plus and the 15 more than I am when it comes to the 15 Pro, when it comes to overall design. On a technical level, this is much better. But wow, in reality, this is special. So yeah, I've got to give props to props where Apple are due when it comes to this. Design and build quality, my experience so far after 96 hours, 4 days later with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, absolutely 10 out of 10. I have, it's so rare for me to have no complaints. It's so rare for me to have no complaints. This is what I've almost dreamed of when it comes to the final frontier of how a solid state flagship smartphone should feel like. And wow, Apple, you've delivered. Let's jump into the comments and see what everyone thinks of the first take when it comes to design and build quality. Matter Jobs, Copy, go to bed. Yes, what's good, Jermaine, aka concept creator? Hey dude, what's good? Thanks for joining tonight's special live stream review of the iPhone 15 Plus and iPhone 15. Is there a Pixel 7 series comparison coming? No, there's going to be a Pixel 8 series. No one's doing a Pixel 7 comparison series now. Like, Pixel 8 is getting announced on Wednesday. I should be getting both of them coming in. No one's going to care about the Pixel 7 series. Apologies, man. I have to save my energy for comparisons that are going to help. Clearly paid by name name of a Samsung, real life Apple in comments. Completely agree. They are super beautiful and feel so nice. They've just, honestly, Apple have knocked it out of the park to the extent where I don't, I'm genuinely speechless. I've thought and thought long and hard to make sure that I just wasn't being delusional. I thought, like, I've really battled and contemplating that maybe you're just over-exaggerating, Ben. But you see, I'm one of very lucky and fortunate few people that these higher, more advanced and popular phones, I get to experience them every year, whether through purchase, whether through long-term loan, whether through gifted and keepers. I'm able to experience these devices long enough to know that for me to be able to tell this instantly, I have to kind of just own it and just admit that this is best in class. Timothy Cook and designers, I'll be honest with you, hats off to you. What you've done with the design and build quality of the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus is so criminally understated and underrated that most people would not want to admit that the expensive Pro model phone that is $1,000 to $1,200 and above doesn't actually feel as good as these. Unpopular hot take and opinion, but I'm sticking to it. Nothing you can do about it. Okay, let me get my display measurement tool out. We're going to be moving over to the display. So here we are. Let's talk the display. So let's go into settings, accessibility, display, auto brightness off. All right, here we are. How has the display experience been with both iPhone 15 and 15 Plus? I'm gonna zoom in a bit further, make sure that we're getting up close and personal. Here we are with the display, right? Here's what's happened with Apple when it comes to what has happened when it comes to the display experience. It's very simple. What they've basically done is taken everything we know and loved or liked about the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max display and brought it over with two caveats, with one being absolutely major and absolutely, in my opinion, unforgivable for the price point these are coming at. First of all, 6.7 inches, 6.1 inches, diagonal corner to corner, still the same bezel size. And this is something that Apple does well. Flat displays, nothing curved to see here, which is easier and better for typing, less screen glare, and also easier to apply screen protectors where you need it. The dynamic island, of course, we've got the dynamic island, which is now part of the Apple experience. So again, this is what we have here when it comes to the dynamic island. It's here now. Gone is the old notch since we've experienced it since 2017. All new iPhones that have come out do not have a notch anymore. Long live the dynamic island. We're probably going to be putting up with it for another 5 to 7 years. This is all in line with Face ID and using the area in a much more usable manner and usable way. And we get the benefits of it being an OLED display. It's a Retina XDR display. It is high resolution, slightly lower than 1440p and slightly higher than 1080p on here. And the biggest benefit that you're getting with the fact that they use the panels from the iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max is brightness levels. And of course, we've got a brightness measurer, and we're going to test the brightness levels to see what we're getting here, because Apple's rating this to have 2000 nits of max peak brightness when it's in automatic mode and outdoor situations, in sunny, bright situations, 1600 nits for HDR, and 1000 nits sustained. These are the levels that they've quoted, but we know that when it comes to Apple, it's quite high in that retrospect. But you have to be in auto brightness mode to benefit from that. And we're going to test that momentarily. So again, I'm going to stick to my guns and say that I don't like the name Dynamic Island. It is a virtual touch bar because it's virtual and you can touch it to interact with it. It is a virtual touch bar. Dynamic Island is just saying the most. Explaining it to a normal person will never make sense, but if you say it's a virtual touch bar at the top that you can press and hold and also do stuff with, yeah, it makes more sense in my opinion. So I'm going to disable that, disable that. What are the two caveats that we've got? Let's start with the first one. Would anyone like to tell me, what do you notice about the 15, 15 Plus, and 15 Pro when the display is off? Don't worry, I'll wait. Oh, yeah, you guessed right. No always on display. No always on display. And with the iPhone, you can show the wallpaper or do it the right way where the wallpaper is off. No always on display. £800, £900 starting, 2023, and we don't have an always on display. The most criminal thing though 60 hertz. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. No. Keep the same energy. Keep the same energy. Last year, Google released a Pixel 6a. They released a Pixel 6a last year, a sub $500, sub £500. In the UK, it was basically £400, brand new. And Google got torn, not like allowed. Google got torn a new one for having a 60 hertz display in a phone that costs no more than £400, no more than $450. It was being compared to 13 Pro Maxes, phones that cost more than double the price, in how bad the refresh rate was at being at 60 hertz. Somehow, some way, we are okay with Apple still putting 60 hertz displays in here. And at least not a 90 hertz display. No one's asking for an LTPO panel, Apple. No one. No one's asking for that. Heck, no one is even asking for an adaptive panel. Anyone that's going to come after me, this is my rant moment when it comes to the display experience. You go buy a brand new car in today's market, electric, hybrid, or internal combustion engine, brand new, out of the factory. Can anyone tell me, do you need cruise control to be able to drive your car? You don't need it. I'm sure the average person, right, would rather have a lot of miles per gallon, aka a brighter display in this situation, than worrying about if my car had cruise control. But that is exactly the principle. You are not going to buy a brand new car at a certain price point in any of today's market and it wouldn't have a basic function like cruise control. Are people going to use it? Probably not. The ones that discover it, it's a nice to have addition that makes long distance driving less of a pain. But you wouldn't expect it not to be that at that price. In fact, let's measure it up to top speed. 120 hertz is a measurement of display smoothness and speed. Miles per hour, kilometers per hour, these are measurements of speed, right? The inherent benefit of a high refresh rate is that not only is the display faster, but it's smoother. How would you feel, even though the national speed limit is 70 miles an hour, how would you feel if your brand new car, regardless of how efficient or powerful the engine was limited to just 60 miles an hour from the manufacturer? Tell me how you'd feel, knowing very well the car and the engine is probably capable of 140 to 150 miles an hour before it tops out. That's the principle of having a 90, a 60, and 120 hertz display at this price point. And people making excuses for this, saying that every single time the average consumer doesn't care. Cool. The average consumer probably doesn't care. Absolutely probably doesn't care. Does not make it acceptable. I'm sorry. I cannot bring myself to understand how stingy this display experience is. And it makes me so sad. It makes the phone look so jittery and so slow. And I'm sorry, maybe because I've got a trained eye, maybe because I've been used to using a high refresh rate panel from at least 90 hertz from the OnePlus 7 Pro days from May 2019. Maybe I'm the odd tech nerd exception. But by principle, people are keeping these phones for no more than 3 to 5 years. Are they subject to actually having this display experience? Yes, I know they're going to benefit more from having a brighter display. Who wouldn't? It's the principle of someone benefiting from having more miles per gallon in their brand new car. Does not excuse not having cruise control, does not excuse having their top speed limited to 60, and does not excuse Apple not putting at least a 90 hertz display in here. It detracts from it. And anyone that wants to downplay it because you're going to make excuses about the average consumer, you're going to make excuses about, Oh, yeah. Yeah, market research. Oh, business purposes. Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't really matter. You're part of the problem. You are absolutely part of the problem. It's such a level of double standard that every time we have to put them in their own bubble, only Apple can do it. I promise you this now, mark it on the wall. If Apple was still releasing 60 hertz displays on their non-pro or future ultra phones in 2030, people would still be singing their praises because of business, because the average consumer. It is lazy. I'm sorry. Like, no. No, no, no. Not for me. On the flip side, I can appreciate it ain't gonna be enough to deter this phone from selling like hotcakes. Because I'm telling you, the brighter display, the quality OLED panel, the dynamic island, the smooth animations, and the overall fit and finish when you hold it and use it, it's incredible enough that it makes me so sad. That is what Apple are gonna hide behind. They're going to hide behind this reason of why not just introduce a 90 hertz display? We're gonna talk about the camera later. I'm actually okay with the fact that this doesn't have a triple lens. I'm okay this doesn't have at least a minimum 3x dedicated zoom. I'm actually okay with that. I'm less okay with somehow how the standards are so different in this situation. £800, £900, and you're telling me you can't at least put a 90 hertz display in there? Inexcusable. And it's so sad because it deters away from what is otherwise a top tier display experience. My rant over. Because no one else wants to do it. Everyone's scared to be blacklisted by Apple, especially more the early access Apple reviewers. None of them have mentioned nothing about this. But when it came to the Google Pixel, because of how Apple is held to some weird Illuminati standard, best believe you don't want to cross them by somehow disagreeing with the fact that they're stitching people based on the fact that they can't put a 90 hertz display in there, if not at least a 120 hertz display. It doesn't have to be LTPO. But nah, let's leave it. It's Apple, innit? They can charge you close to £1,000, like, and not really do much because, you know, the average consumer doesn't care. Yeah, sure. Let me see if I got YouTube on here. Let's get YouTube down. We're going to be testing the display brightness. Let's open it up. Let's open it up. All right, we're going to sign into YouTube right quick. Apologies for that, man. I had to go on my little mini rant there because I was just like, yo, it's something I've not been able to get over. People will probably get used to it, but I've just not gotten over it, and it's just not a good look. Signing in, and we're gonna do the display measurement test and stuff. Continue, continue. Two-step verification. Signing in. All right, let's go top down. So apologies if the display brightness does blow out. I'm not gonna adjust the brightness level, right? But we are going to measure. Okay, Marquez has dropped his review. Okay, so we are going to measure the 4K display brightness. We're going to do the 4K display brightness test, which is here. This is how we get our maximum nittage reading. So we're going to bring it here. And we are going to turn this up to 4K UHD HDR. Okay, so let's see what we get. We're going to bring this brightness all the way up. And let's measure, see what we're getting in terms of full screen brightness. Okay. Cool. So full screen brightness, we are getting 1,474 nits when it comes to full screen brightness. This is with HDR content. So with full screen coverage, that's what we're getting, which is really, really good. In a smaller window, it would definitely be less. Would 100% be more, sorry, not less. So let's turn this up as well, and let's see if we're getting a similar reading when it comes to so we've got full screen brightness on here. Right. And slightly just under 1500 nits as well. So yeah, right on par in terms of full screen brightness. This is what we're getting. So it's right on par. Yeah, when it comes to full screen brightness, it's right on par. When it's HDR, we are looking at like, small window of brightness for, all white. So in a smaller window, you will get a higher brightness reading, just to put it out there. So display wise, when it comes to brightness, these are class leading in line with the 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, 15 Pro, and 15 Pro Max. When it comes to brightness, obviously what you're getting with the 15 Pro series is the fact that you are getting a slightly slimmer bezels. So you do notice it ever so slightly. So it does allow the overall slight footprint of the phone to be smaller. Oh, God. I knew I forgot to do something. Turn on the fan. The ZVE1. ZVE1 is such a pagan. Don't know why I put up with it, but anyway. So you can see that the footprint is slightly smaller on the 15 Pro, slightly, just because of the fact that obviously you have got the slimmer bezels that really help it. But overall, in terms of the display specs, apart from having a ProMotion, these are class leading. So yeah, that's my experience, thoughts and opinion on the display. Two detracting factors and one of them that really, really gets to me out of principle. So let's jump into the comments and see what's up. Senna says, I like these models better than the Pros. Yeah, I agree. In terms of physical build and design and feel, I prefer them over the Pros. I do. Bartos says, I agree that these phones are nice, but doesn't really matter in the long run. People will slap a case on it anyway. Yeah, that's true. And that's what's unfortunate, but I still have to give it props for just how good they feel. Will pay ya, okay. What kind of battery life Are they advertising on a 15? I'm not too sure, but I'll pretty much tell you what my battery life experience has been since I've had it on Friday, which has been really, really good, especially on the Plus model. I bet it truthfully comes down to the ability to source enough panels to sell all Pros, Pro Maxes. Nah, let's not. Please, let's not. Let's not start this whole enough panels to sell. It's utter BS. I've worked for smartphone manufacturers before. It's utter BS. I use cruise control basically anytime. I'm lazy. Like, whether you use it or not, my point is you're not gonna buy a brand new car at a certain price point, whether you're gonna use it or not, and not have cruise control there. It will be criminal not to have it in there, whether you're gonna use it or not. In Wales, it's 20 miles an hour. Save the sheep, oh please. I love that you're opinionated and say what you think, really good and agree. It's holding back technological process. There's no technological process. It's just principle process. Like, it's not even progress on a technical level. High refresh rate has been there since 2017 on smartphones thanks to the Razer Phone 1. High refresh rate phones were made something that was generally accessible in 2019 thanks to OnePlus. High refresh rate really became a thing in 2020 and beyond when Samsung jumped on it. It is nothing new, especially on OLED panels. This is nothing technical. This is just something that it just does not make any sense. And I'm more calling that out from a double standard. There is no way you and the industry can tear one into Google over a phone that cost less than £450 and dollars last year for having 60 hertz. Somehow this one's okay. It's principle. I don't think that iOS in general is that well optimized for touch. It's not well optimized for big screens. The buttons are super small compared to the newest Android iterations. That's true. They're not really well optimized for big screens in my opinion. My guy has all the cinematic angles available. Trust me, man, we're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We don't play. We don't play, my guy. We do not play. When it comes to our full production set, we do not play. ZV1 stays an enemy of progress. Yep, I forgot to put the fan on and it just reminded me that, hey, I ain't like the other three. Like, I need some blower. Why did you skip my question? Was it that weird? What question? You know, you didn't ask any question, eh? I didn't skip no question. You didn't ask any question. We touch on two key points, which is the design and build quality, the display experience. Let's now get into the performance and what we get with the performance and experience we get. And we're going to open up Geekbench as a reference and do a benchmark to just kind of set the tone. And then we're going to do some gaming. So here we have it. So we can see the text a lot better. Here we have it with the iPhone 15 Plus and iPhone 15. And if we compare it, of course, to what we're having with the 15 Pro, which we'll bring in a moment, we are running the latest iOS 17.0.2. This is using an A16 Pro, as found in the iPhone 14 Pro, which I still have in-house. We still have 6 gigabytes of RAM. And we're going to do a benchmark. And this is using Geekbench 6. This is more for reference. This is more for reference, so please take it as it is. This is more for reference. We're going to do some gaming with Asphalt 9 and just kind of pretty much play some games and see how it is. How has my experience been with the performance? It's been as expected. The only detracting factor is the 60 hertz display makes the phone feel slower than it needs to be, unfortunately, and I'm still sticking to that. It hasn't felt as smooth as It hasn't felt as fast and smooth as I would want based on the display holding it back, but the phone itself has pretty much been good as expected. I'm very familiar with this performance from the A16 Bionic that was found on the iPhone 14 Pro. So that's pretty much all I can say towards it. If we look at the iPhone 15 Pro and bring up Geekbench, right? We can clearly see that what the A17 Pro is rocking with is a higher clock 6-core, 8 gigabytes of RAM, improved GPU, and of course, when it comes to history, this is what we had when it comes to the benchmarking score, which is 2,867, but the multi-core performance is what really just blew things away. Really surprised me how strong it was there. And gaming performance on here has been great. I've not experienced any overheating. Only, rise in temperature that I experienced was charging. But apart from that, in terms of using it every day, it's been okay. So that's been my overall arching experience when it comes to the performance on the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, right? So we're just running it when it comes to the benchmark, seeing how, they perform. Much appreciated to everyone in the live squad that's here tonight. Shout out to the replay crew that are going to get a chance to watch this as well and discover this. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn the notifications. This is a live stream that you're watching back pre-recorded. We are streaming this, and this is available in 4K UHD 2160p. So turn it up to there so you can get the best visual quality as possible. And there will be chapters linked in the description below as well. And again, big thank you to Vodafone UK for supplying these for testing and review. So we're pretty much just running through the CPU benchmark so you can just have a reference and see where they stand in performance. And we'll do some live game with Asphalt 9. And yeah, pretty much for me, I've not had any problems when it comes to performance. Running the camera, especially doing how intensive my camera comparisons are, which we're going to get to after this when it comes to the camera performance and stuff. It's been an interesting one. It's been an interesting one. So we're pretty much, clang, right? Pretty much going through the motion in that retrospect. And again, when it comes to the Geekbench for iPhone 15 Pro, we've got that for reference there, just so we can see how far in terms of performance have we got. Obviously, Apple was out in that 10% improvement on CPU. So this is an interesting one. Object detection is what we're on right now. Early in the morning. We go. Oh, bring these bad boys down. Right. We're pretty much wrapping up so we can see where we are in terms of Geekbench. Here we are, people. That's the differentiating factor. So slightly higher on the 15 Plus. So it goes in a pecking order as you would expect. 15, 15 Plus, 15 Pro. Again, 15 Pro Max should hopefully be here on a Wednesday. So this is the differentiating factor when it comes to the benchmark performance when we are looking at Geekbench 6. Again, take this in for reference. Let it just be a reference. It's not completely indicative of real world performance, especially considering these models have 6 gigabytes of RAM compared to 8 gigabytes of RAM, which I'm really glad to see Apple up the RAM on this. Better longevity, especially when it comes to software support and running more than one app in the background and task switching or app switching. Since Apple still don't allow you to do true multitasking, Yes, app switching is different to multitasking. All right, here we are. Put iPhone 15 Pro. It's had its time. And let's load up some games. Let's go to Ash Fault 9. I'm going to put the 15 on the side for a moment. We can bring this down up close and personal. So we're going to go through setting this up quickly. Man. Continue, done. I just play. I'm going to go back to the top down. So I don't want to get copyright striked. So let me just put the volume to some reasonable retrospect. I'm going to put it to Camlink Pro 2. So apologies if you can hear a bit of the background. I've taken it off the video broadcast for background suppression. So yeah, let's do some gaming. Cool. This is the Lamborghini Vuelto. Again, I'm not much of a mobile gamer, but Asphalt 9, since I love cars and racing, usually tends to be the game that if I'm going to actually play, I play. It looks graphically good. We'll do a couple of races and then switch to the iPhone 15 and kind of showcase that as well. Okay. Turbo nitrous. Okay, 2 options. Let me jump the rail. Yep. Boom. Spinny. Boost. I'm going to go down there. Get a boost. Ramp up. Yeah, boy. Okay, so it's still nice and cool. No heat. No excessive warmth. So again, this is just the opening. We're going to go next. There we go. Press next again. And we'll switch to the iPhone 15. We're going to do 2 more races. So unlock Mitsubishi Lancer Evoluzione or Mitsubishi EVO. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's get into there. We're pretty much just, doing a bit of live gaming. Yeah, that's fine. Click next. And we're going to play. Spinny. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. That's fine. I know it. Quick drift. Quick drift. And then turbo. Jeez. We are booking speed. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And finish. Again, Let's do my obligatory cheek test. Nice and warm. No, it's nice and cool. I mean, yeah, no issues. No issues at all. No issues. No issues at all. Honestly, none. Let's go next. We'll do one more race. Nice and cool. No issues when it comes to warmth. Really well controlled. Okay, boost. Yes, I know. That's what I just did. Oh, takedown. Takedown. Merkage. Wow, you're trying me. Jeez, mid-airborne. Haha. Try me. Try me. Boom. So as you can see, gaming performance. Oh, not you too. These cameras want to be an enemy of progress. Cameras want to be an enemy of progress. Okay, so we're going to come out of this and pretty much showcase that temperature-wise, gaming-wise, no issues. Honestly, none. Again, I think it will be reflective of the iPhone 15 as well. But for the sake of transparency and fairness, let's lock this in as well. We've just hit the 1 hour mark. Appreciate you all sticking around and being here. Really, really means a lot. We are doing a live stream special. 96 hours, 4 days later with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. So we're just going to play this. I don't expect this to be any different, if I'm going to be honest with you. Man, these Sony cameras, when it comes to overheating, such a shame. There we go. Okay. Drifting, 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 tap nitro. So as you can see, the gaming performance is pretty much par for the course. It's everything we've come to know from the A16 Pro. Yes, so the A16 Bionic. Yes, this is not the A17 Pro with hardware-based ray tracing. But again, that is such a niche, but yet still brilliant technical feature that we've got in the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. But again, we'll just have to see when those games come out, how those assets will look like and those performance will look like, especially with Metal FX image upscaling technologies that's in there as well. There we go. Nice. So yeah, I don't think I'll go through absolutely all the motion when it comes to gaming on the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, but just know that the performance have been more than predictable, more than stellar, Again, it just feels like a detraction based on the fact that the display is 60 hertz, but away from that, with 6 gigabytes of RAM and the A16 Bionic, yeah, the performance on these have been really good. All right, so what do we have? All the cameras. And let's see what's up. When will a 90 hertz regular iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, at this rate, Apple just doesn't see the benefit of putting a high refresh rate beyond 60 hertz in a normal numbered iPhone. Team Google Pixel Fold. Yes, we've got Pixel Fold in the house. Pixel Fold as well, we got that in the house. What's wrong with the ZVE1? My ZVE1 is life. Yeah, the Sony cameras still have their knack for overage. The fact that the A7 IV on the left here overheated and it's not internally recording says a lot. The ZVE1, I've got a fan on it for its cooldown. My most reliable is the top down, which is the A7S III. And then my first A7 IV seems to be a little bit more reliable. I see. It said we should expect an update for the 15 Pro that will clock down the CPU because of the internal. Well, Apple has said they won't have to clock it down, but let's just wait and see what happens. Why are you working with Vodafone UK? Because Vodafone UK are the ones that supplied us with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. Again, you know, saves us having to buy it, allows us to have content out for you all, for us to be able to test everything when it comes to our experience of it so you can make the right purchasing decision. And if you want to actually consider getting it and you're based in the UK, consider getting your iPhone 15 from Vodafone UK. Okay, FX30 and FX3 stay winning with the internal fans. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, S5 Mark II and S5 Mark II X is the same as well. At this point, just want to get cameras with good thermal performance, whether they're recording internally or not, and internal fans are the way forward. So shout out to cameras with internal fans. Or internative active cooling. It's a better terminology. Okay, here we are. We're going to be talking about the cameras. Let's talk about the camera experience for a moment. And what we're going to do in the meantime is better give context when it comes to what we mean about the camera experience. So I'm going to open up my channel because we've been doing back to back in depth. Right, let's go to studio mode for a moment. Go here, bring it here, and bring it here. And we are going to transition over. Come out of studio mode. Yes, of course, we are live streaming at the minute. So really appreciate everyone that's live tuned in. But today's video that went live was the iPhone 15 versus the Galaxy S23. So again, the iPhone 15 Plus as well as the iPhone 15 that we have here have the same camera system, a new 48 megapixel main sensor and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. These are the two lenses that we're working in. Obviously, we've got the same 12 megapixel selfie on the selfie for the front facing camera. So that's what we have when it comes to the camera system. I just want to be clear that this is not the same 48 megapixel main camera sensor that we saw on the iPhone 14 Pro, the 14 Pro Max. It's not the same as what's on the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. This is a new 48 megapixel sensor bespokely given to the 15 and 15 Plus. What does that basically mean? As an upgrade from the 12 megapixel main sensor on the 14, This is a bigger physical sensor than those 12 megapixel sensors, but it is slightly physically smaller than what you get on the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max and the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max. It does come with its benefits though. So yes, it's not a 24 millimeter field of view equivalent to full frame. It's 26 millimeters. So there is a slight, you know, tighter focal length when it comes to the main sensor being 26 millimeters instead of 24 millimeters. But it comes with benefits that I actually, in a lot of ways, prefer this main camera sensor over the main camera sensor that you found on the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, even though they are physically bigger, where you can have an effective micron pixel size of 2.44 when it's binned, but unbinned is 1.22, whereas obviously this unbinned is 1 and unbinned is 2 micron meter effectively. But this is where a lot of the work went into today, man. Again, back-to-back camera comparisons off the back of one of the most in-depth camera comparisons I did on the iPhone 15 Pro versus the 14 Pro versus the Galaxy S23. The Galaxy S23 is thrown in the arena again against the iPhone 15, where we're battling right here. And again, this one, wow, took the wind out of me. And yes, I would highly recommend that you go watch it. It's a good in-depth 30 plus minutes, and we test pretty much all the main video modes that matter. All the pictures in daylight and low light, you know, landscape, close-up macros, and everything. But you're seeing it for yourself. The iPhone 15 series is on the left, and the iPhone and the Galaxy S23 is on the right. Video matters to me equally as much as photos, so I put a lot of effort equally. Basically, it's a 50-50 split. Half of it is video, half of it's photos, and I pretty much go into there. And as you can see, all 4 phones, again, supplied by Vodafone UK when it comes to the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, have got the same camera systems. It's just the physical size that are smaller. So everything that you see with the Plus model and the normal size, the results are going to be the same. But when I was doing a camera comparison, I was using an iPhone 15 Plus. So one thing I don't like is that on a selfie camera in 4K 60, I don't know why, but iPhones still have this problem with dynamic range just being blown out and the highlights being gone. Don't know why Apple still do this. Apple have been doing this since, like, my goodness, 2019 when the 11 Pro came out, when it was the first phone that could do 4K 60 on a selfie. But as soon as you go to 4K 30, you see that the issue of dynamic range is gone. There's no issue when it comes to dynamic range. So it's weird. But props to Apple. They've been able to incorporate the same benefits that you get when shooting 4K 60, right? Where on the same clip, you can switch between the lenses on a rear camera. And that's a level of flexibility that only Google offers as well. So Google do that, and I believe Honor do that as well. So being able to switch between all the lenses in 4K 60 makes it as usable as 4K 30. I wish they did allow you to still pause the video and continue recording on the same clip and also flip to the selfie camera, but having much more usable 4K 60 where you're able to switch between all the lenses at the back without stopping recording like you have to do on other manufacturers is a great look. So there's such a good improvement there. Overall, I would say the image quality when it comes to video on iPhone, it's better. Samsung looks a bit washed out. Again, I had this in a high bitrate mode to help the Samsung in any way possible. The colors, the rendition of the skin. Yeah, iPhone video is up there. iPhone video is really, really good. Again, the normal numbered ones don't have ProRes and log recording and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, that's for the benefits of the A17 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro series. But yeah, I would say video quality, it's a lot clearer. Now, what you do get with Samsung is the ability to, you know, shoot in 8K. So you've got the 8K video option as well. So it's just something to consider. And I think 8K video holds up really well because it's actually usable. And I think Apple do need to consider enabling 8K videos since they've got more than enough horsepower. And their video prowess will be so good that we could actually see even better quality 8K video on a smartphone. You've got the video portrait mode. I highly recommend you go watch this in-depth camera comparison, man. I put a lot of effort and work into this one. It's really worth the watch. It's bookmarked so you can get to the sections that you want, but I definitely say sit down, watch it in 4K 60, put some headphones on, and watch it at least on your laptop display because that's a bigger display that you can put headphones on. But of course, you can watch it on the smartphone as well in 4K 60. Put your headphones on, full screen it, and hear the audio. I pretty much go through everything there. One thing I will say, it's a lot better on here is the minimum focusing distance. One of the biggest problems with the iPhone 15 Pro is that main 48 megapixel sensor, the minimum focusing distance is terrible, and you need macro mode. But what you have to remember is when you activate macro mode for close shooting, it's not using the main sensor. Macro mode is using the ultra wide, and it really drops the quality. So yes, it allows you to really focus close, but the minimum focusing distance on the iPhone 15 series, i.e. the 15 Plus and also the 15, is really, really, really good. It's really, really good. It's still not as good as Samsung, but it's so much better than what you have on the 15 Pro that I actually like it. I actually like it. And one thing that Apple does really well is, I would say, obviously having the different photographic styles. The high resolution mode is a lot more consistent than Samsung's. If we look at this one in this particular situation, HDR kicks in well. There's another situation here where it's me on the rear cameras. And you can see that the HDR performance when you're using a high resolution 50 megapixel mode on the Galaxy S23 is very inconsistent. Compared to Apple, it processes it a lot quicker and it's a lot more consistent in making sure HDR works well. And this is probably down to the Smart HDR5. I'll be honest with you, both are not that great when it comes to skin tones. I think iPhone makes me look darker than I am, and this makes me look a little bit more on the red side. But I do prefer the skin tones a lot more on the Samsung, even though both are not perfect. But the overall scenery and the color accuracy of the scene, my jacket, the color of my jacket is way more color accurate on the iPhone. I gotta give it to them. Like, they've done bits, and I'm not too pressed that they don't have a dedicated 3x zoom lens, even though, as you can see there, having a dedicated 3x zoom lens for portrait shots, yeah, it's unmatched on the Samsung. So having a dedicated zoom lens is still very useful, but I'm not too pressed that they don't have it. I think overall low light performance is a lot better on Samsung. Like, you know, Samsung just does a better job, and you're allowed to use more modes in low light, in my opinion. So if we look at, let's just say in this particular situation with the main wide sensor, you can tell that there is a slight crop on the iPhone, 26 millimeters compared to a wider field of view here at the same distance. So just something to consider in that retrospect. If you look at the ultra wide, this is not using night mode. And yeah, in low light, yeah, Samsung really brought the heat. Like, Samsung kind of, especially with night mode being active in portrait mode at low light on iPhone, unless you're going to use the flash, is pretty much useless. Because with Samsung, look at that. That's with the 3x dedicated zoom lens with night mode and portrait mode put together. You can't do that on an iPhone, not even in a 1x or the 2x. You have to use flash. And as you can see, iPhones do have a strong flash. It's quite overpowering. It's the only way to get around it. I would say low light overall, Samsung takes it. But in terms of the actual camera performance, it's been an interesting one with the iPhone 15 series. I'm overall actually very pleased. I think there's still some things that they can do well. Like I said, you know, show the 3x mode. Obviously, the portrait cinematic has a continuous zoom feature there. Obviously, I love what they have here. And I highly recommend you go in and indeed change it to the most compatible. The high efficiency codecs, that Apple's version really adds some form of incompatibility that I really do not enjoy at all. So obviously when you go to your camera, go to formats, enable resolution control. The new default mode is 24 megapixels, which is fantastic. Put it to most compatible, right? It's better. Yes, it's going to use up more storage, but it's just better and it's just much more compatible in my opinion. Enable the level or the grid, but definitely enable the level. But one thing to definitely consider, especially for us of the darker skin persuasion, photographic styles, right? we might have to consider using different photographic styles to have better skin tones. I might have to do a video on this, like I said, but the standard one, it does well for the scene, could do better for skin tones when it comes to, you know, people of a darker skin tone like mine. But overall, the camera, I would say that it's been a better experience than I care to admit, and that's good on Apple. That's good on Apple. Would it have been nice to have a dedicated 3x zoom lens? Definitely, 100%. 100%, I think, in general, but it's not entirely unusual. So if you look at Google with their normal numbered series and on their Pro device, it is a dual camera. It doesn't have a dedicated zoom, but it does also give prudence and credit to Samsung for allowing the ability to have a dedicated 3x zoom lens on their phones at the price points that they're offering, right? And I think obviously with Samsung, inflation hitting them a bit earlier during the year, the base price of their S23 and S23 Plus is actually slightly higher than the iPhones by like $50 or £50. Well, if I look at UK, £50 higher. But it shows great value, especially it having 120 hertz display, having 8 gigabytes of RAM, having a dedicated 3x zoom lens. There is value in what they're having. Faster charging at 25 watts, faster USB-C at 5 gigabits per second. There's stuff to consider. There's stuff to consider. But overall, I will say that I prefer the main camera sensor on here, the 48 megapixel camera sensor on here compared to the Pro, even though physically, like I said, the Pro is bigger. And the overall performance of the camera, especially when it comes to video, gotta give it to them, man. Color renditions, especially around the scene, very, very impressive. But I highly recommend you watch the ultimate camera comparison, which I will have linked in the description below. It will hopefully pop up on the cards above as well. And yeah, in the end cards, I would highly recommend you watch it to get full breakdown and in-depth look of my findings. So yeah, that is the camera experience on the iPhone 15 series. Oh, we're working. I'm just gonna switch to the top down for a minute. Okay, we are back. We didn't go too far. Just wanted to refill on my water, stay hydrated. Really appreciate everyone in the live squad being here. Shout out to the replay crew that are here as well. Yeah. Samsung should finally fix the magenta hue. Yes, I agree. It was visible, especially while using a front camera. iPhone has surprisingly weak night performance. Yes, absolutely agree. The magenta color shift and hue, it's just too prominent. It's something I called out a lot, and it's really, really prominent on lights. It just detracts away from it. The processing is just hella weird. And I agree, they should fix it. They should fix it. They should absolutely fix it. They should absolutely fix it. Okay, we're getting into that hour-and-a-half mark. Right on time today, pretty much getting into the groove of things. iOS 17, again, this one is just going to be a quick glance, unfortunately, because I'm not much an iOS software guy. Everything about iOS in itself really still does 100% resonate with me. The lack of multitasking when it comes to being able to use more than one app at the same time on the screen, especially for the Plus model. You know, not being able to arrange your apps the way that you want, lack of a clipboard. I'm not going to touch too much on software, unfortunately, because I don't want to turn this into an iOS bashing section. Pause. You know, I don't want to be doing that. iOS is too locked down and too basic for me to really enjoy compared to how I use my Android phone, especially on a foldable basis. That's just me being straight. That's just me being honest. It's iOS. And I know your favorite Apple channels are going to do iOS 17 breakdown and software features and stuff. It's just not me. It's just not me. It's the best thing about iOS is actually with the iPhone 17 Pro, thanks to the action button and just how customizable it is. Oh man, 120 Hz is so smooth, right? This has probably been the best part of iOS that I've really enjoyed, right? Being able to action button straight into the camera app anywhere, even when it's closed, right? That's just been me personally, but that's not a benefit that's on the 15 series, only on the 15 Pro series. So in retrospect, software has been predictable. It's been predictably iOS. So any other new features such as name dropping, all this stuff that happens and ooh, you know, like ooh, yeah, I'm not fussed. I don't really care. So, you know, the software's just been predictable. It's been predictably iOS and iPhone. That's all I can say, people. Apologies. Let's hit the last one and really wrap this up and call my conclusion to this, right? Which has got to be the battery experience. Okay, here we are. Last 6 days. Just so that you know that I'm not trying to, you know, wing it in any way, shape, or form. Yes, we've had this since Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 hours of screen on time, as you can see, with lots of battery in there. Great standby time. Obviously, we've not pushed it that heavy from that time in. From Sunday, obviously, to today. It's Tuesday now, technically, for me in the UK. This is the day we really pushed it, as you can see. This is when we're really running the camera because we're doing a camera comparison day and night. And it really held well. It really held well in that retrospect, man. So battery on the 15 Plus is really up there. I would say best in class out of all of them. Rightfully so. You know, I've still not figured out a way to do like a systematic battery drain test video, like how I have a systematic way to real world test the cameras. I would love to still have the energy and the time to do that. But in the meantime, the battery has been really good, especially on the 15 Plus so far. And yeah, I mean, the downside is obviously the fact that the charging, I've not done a charging test video, but once I get all 4 devices in, I'm going to do a comprehensive charging test video. But for the other ones that have, I know my guy Simply Pops has been doing charging test videos, so definitely go check out his channel. It's sad that we can't get iPhones that charge within an hour. You know, it's sad that we can't get iPhones that don't charge within an hour. But again, I guess most people charge overnight. I'm not really one of them. And it's, yeah, that's kind of really been the battery life experience. The battery life experience is really good. Still no reverse wireless charging, which is something that you get on the Samsungs with the PowerShare. 20 watts charging compared to 25 watts and 45 and higher. Still takes about maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half, slightly over to recharge to 100%. But the battery life itself, in terms of the battery life experience, is really, really strong and really, really good. Overall, that's pretty much a roundup of the iPhone 15 Plus and 15 series 4 days later. What's my conclusion? My conclusion is it's 50-50. My conclusion is, I guess for an iPhone user, in all the areas that matter, if you're coming for an iPhone XR and also an iPhone 11, right? This is going to be an upgrade that you're thoroughly going to enjoy. It's just a shame that Apple just are relying on their laurels and their fan base and their user base alone. It would be nice for them to have upped certain things to help people that are coming over from different platforms that might consider iPhones to switch over. Let me give you a bit of a story time. And shout out to my older sister, Joanna. She asked me this question because I was doing a mini Q&A live stream on Instagram. And she uses a Galaxy A52. She won't mind me sharing this. But she asked me, it's so funny that you're live streaming. This is the perfect time. I wanted to ask you, I need to get an upgrade. I'm on 3 network in the UK, need to get an upgrade. Which one should I get between the iPhone 15 and the Galaxy S23? I gave her all the benefits and what to consider getting into it, right? In the end, the better value for her, and it's not just because of the fact that she was using a mid-range Samsung phone, but the better value for her within that price range was actually to get the Samsung Galaxy S23. So, as someone else considered switching over, the equivalent Samsung phone that she could have gone to makes a lot more sense. You have to understand, in this neck of the woods, all this Apple ecosystem stuff makes no difference to people. We don't use iMessage. We don't use FaceTime. All of this integrated wall garden stuff, it's for the North Americans. Us in the actual real world outside of America, none of these things make a decision to our purchase decision of why we stay with Apple or we switch from Apple, right? The blue bubble, green bubble stuff, it don't affect us here. We use WhatsApp and other means to communicate, like text message. Just putting it out there. Them missing certain key bits when it comes to the direct competition being Google and especially Samsung does deter away from what is actually very good phones. I really, really love the feel of the finish and the build. Like I've stated, I've put everything out there and I think I've been as fair as possible to these devices, and they've surprised me in such a good way when it comes to the video performance and the camera, especially the build, fit and finish, and the design is excellent, 10 out of 10. But missing certain things that make sense principally to the end user, Apple, we need to change things. We need to change things. If not dedicated zoom lens, you need to at least consider putting a 90 hertz display in there. If not 120 hertz, and you don't need to make it LTPO, and you don't need to call it Pro Motion, and you want to call it a fluid motion display rather than a Pro Motion display, whatever you want to call it, put a 90 hertz display in there next time. Your end users deserve that. Whether they need it or not is one thing, they deserve it. Especially for the price point that you're asking for these devices. So that's my conclusion. For iPhone users upgrading from the iPhone XR, and also the iPhone 11 especially, and even in some cases the iPhone 12, you're gonna love these. You're gonna love these. But for XR users from 2018, yeah, this is your time. This is your time. This is your upgrade to get if you want to stick with Apple. And these are the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. Boom! That's a wrap. 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 That is a wrap on 96 hours later, 4 days later, review of the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. Definitely go watch our ultimate camera comparison that we've put out on these phones next to the direct competitor, which is obviously the Samsung Galaxy S23. And if you have any questions now, feel free to ask. Another special edition live of the Tech and Chill Show Unplugged, done and bagged. Really proud of the series, man, and what we've been able to escalate it. I'm telling you, the day I could afford to have my own dedicated studio or complete room to record without having to share it as a bedroom, it's game over. Game over. What do we have here? It's a solid choice, but for me personally, 60 hertz on a phone is unusable. Great live stream though, appreciate you. 60 hertz on a phone at this price point is unusable, and of course I agree. At this point, 90 hertz is the bare minimum, and there's cheaper phones that do this. 60 hertz just needs to be gone. Any questions? Any questions? Fire away. Before we shut shop, any questions? Fire away before we shut shop. Okay, that is a wrap. Really appreciate you all and your time for tuning in on this special live stream review of the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. And again, a big thank you to Vodafone UK for supplying these handsets. Full details on where you can get your deal on Vodafone UK if you're in the UK for the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. Really appreciate the support for getting these in so we can get these test reviews and content out to you. With that out of the way, peace out. Catch you in the next one. Peace.